One, two, one, two, three, four.
Hi, I'm Alan with GameLark Remixes, and I'm here with Ro, also known as Swiggles1987. Why don't you say hi?
Hey everybody.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Just end of a long day.
All right. Thanks for agreeing to do the interview.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's get started. How did you get into making music, and then we can go into how did you get into making video game music?
Okay, so when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I actually got kind of jealous of my sister who was playing piano, so I started taking piano lessons for a while. A lot of it was a mix of picking up stuff by ear and traditional playing, and then I picked up trumpet and kind of dropped piano for a while, for a year, kind of just trying instruments. Eventually, when I was about 13 years old, I picked up the guitar. And I just started on electric, and music's always kind of been around the house, classic rock, hard rock, and it kind of just progressed from there. I just started learning more and more guitar. For the past, I've been playing 7 years, and, eventually got into recording, so.
So you're competing with your sister, and that's how you got into music.
Yep, she does not play music anymore, as a matter of fact. She's a very large influence on why she ended up influencing me to, pick up guitar. You look cool playing a guitar. And I was just like, okay. And then I ended up learning a lot of her favorite songs, kind of like motivating and stuff. And it kind of goes from there that I just, wanted to play for myself. And I just got into it as I was getting into it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the second part to your question was, how did I start recording music? And
well, how did you get into video game? Did you know the community before you started making music?
Right.
Or were you just like, I'm going to make video game covers, and then found out that there's this whole community that was already there? Or?
Basically what happened, I think after I'd been playing for 1 or 2 years, I'd been trying to just record myself playing like anything, AC/DC covers or something generic, nothing really I felt like inspired to create. It wasn't the creativity per se.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, it didn't click in my head that I've always been a humongous video gamer, of course, like everyone, and it didn't click to me that I could put together songs in the styles of contemporary music into video games until, of course, I think I Googled, has anyone done this Banjo-Kazooie guitar? And lo and behold, I find Family Jewel 7X's channel. He's a fantastic guitar player.
The Metallica of the video game remix world.
The Metallica of the video. And it just so happened that this guy, at that time probably didn't have much more than a couple hundred subs. And it just everything I didn't know was kind of a thing I could do with the guitar was just opened up there. You could record yourself, you could jump around in your room and record it, and some people people would dig it because it was cool.
Yeah.
And just from there, I just started thinking, how do I do this? What do I need? And I messaged him immediately. I was like, how do you get your video and your audio? And he gave me the spiel pretty early on, and from there it was a lot of trial and error. But that's definitely how I got the start. Just seeing a couple, one video is all it took. And then, of course, I marathoned through everything he had and found other people.
Awesome. Yeah. Family Jewels is a big inspiration for a lot of people, including Dan, who I also interviewed previously. So
no,
he's definitely been around and definitely inspired a lot of people. Can you remember some of the first remixes that you did?
Absolutely. So I do recall that the very first video I put together was actually a Lord of the Rings medley of songs. And then once I started realizing the game stuff was gonna let me like be a little more creative, my first video game cover is Bob on Battlefield from Super Mario 64.
I love that song.
And as most musicians and creators of anything honestly can relate, if I look back, I'm just face palming and wondering, what were you doing? Why is that so off time? But truly, honestly, kind of like the beauty of it is, I just didn't think anyone else was really gonna watch it, so I was just,
You're a little fearless. Like, you didn't have to worry about it, That's awesome.
I left so many mistakes, and but at the same time, like, I feel like there's trinkets within these covers that are just like, I know that's a Ro cover. That was something I did, and you can be proud of if you're in art class and you suck and you make a blob, it's my blob.
Yeah.
So. And I did, immediately after, I did Sons of Skyrim, like the Pokemon title song, just like the most obvious things to like do for me based on like the games that I played that seemed easy to play on guitar. Because I'd only been playing guitar 3 years, and I didn't think I was very good, so I didn't want to play anything that was just like all these arpeggios and crazy things. And still, I didn't know what to do. It was this field of opportunity. It's still there. So I was just tinkering around and, hey, I like this song. Let's do this. It wasn't.
You were just following your passions, basically.
There was no list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No.
What would you say are some of your favorite game series that as far as making remixes? Like, what are some of your favorite series to cover?
So I've actually kind of listed out before, and Zelda is fortunately, just like a go-to. But I will say the Mario individual series, just like the Super Mario's, Mario Party, some of the Mario Karts, I think that actually is some of my favorite music to cover, because it definitely spans a mix of major, minor. You get influence from Middle East sound as well as like Celtic, and things like Super Mario Galaxy are very like orchestrated, and I find those like more of a challenge to get like emotionally right. But then you have like I think I've done like Rico Harbor from Super Mario Sunshine, and I've done Mario Party 3 with Thunderscott, and those are more like happy-go-lucky, and they have more major sounds and acoustics, so it's kind of like a barrel of fun, and that's what Mario's about. Besides that, I will say Banjo-Kazooie might be some of my favorite. Banjo-Kazooie is another one just because of there's like a lot of mixed scales. It's not easy to play because it makes you think a little outside of a traditional guitar playing or any musician, any instruments playing range. Earthbound might be one of my favorites to cover that I feel like unique about. It's a highly underrated game. I tell like all of my friends who haven't checked it out who like RPGs, if you're having a rough day, it's a simple Saturday morning cartoon sort of game, and the music from it is very bluesy. It has a lot of jazz influence, a lot of swung songs, and it's also it's just it's a mixed bag, and I think that makes it pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Nintendo, they have a certain charm to their music where throughout, with each generation, you can hear any Mario song from any Mario game and immediately tell it's a Mario song. And
for sure.
I think that, all the way from, Super Mario Brothers to Super Mario 3D World, when they added the jazz, the jazziness to the Mario sound, it just felt right. It felt natural. It was like, oh, this just feels good. You know what I mean? It felt somehow like it belonged together. I'm going to give you a hard question for the next one. You
sure.
ready? All right.
Yeah.
What would you say defines Swiggles1987 style? Like, what would be your defining attributes if you had to pick?
Sure. So, and I think that's not only a hard question, but it's a really good question, because that's something I like strive to create and brand myself with. I think the thing that most defines, like if you had a collection of solos from VGM remixers, I always end up coming back to a mixture of like expressive soloing or like bluesiness that I think comes from the fact that I love Van Halen to death.
Okay.
And there was actually when I was learning the instrument, guitar and stuff, I learned every single Van Halen song, and a lot of that is just, you know, if you hear my solos, and they just always sound really wacky, sometimes out of tune, but just I'm very sloppy and excited when I kind of play, and I feel like that kind of characteristic comes out a lot. And the other thing I like to do is I like to throw around a lot of different sort of styles at the same time and make things semi-needlessly, obnoxiously you know, kind of overboard, complex if they don't need to be. Just, I don't know, I'm not content with taking a song and then just playing guitar the exact notes on like the clean channel of my amp and calling it a day. I want to find out, why is this song making me feel blank? And, you know, whether it's I did a cover from Ruby and Sapphire, Route 113, where I did this like two-hand tapping sort of thing and like a walking sort of tempo, and I don't know, it's just, I feel like everything I strive to do to make Swiggles sound involves the expressiveness of and the over-the-topness of my arranging or my like sloppy playing, just, you know, tell the feeling of the song that I'm feeling like when I play it. That might have sounded very like crazy or pretentious.
I think I got it. It's the you try and find the central emotion behind the song, and then you put your own spin on that emotion. Add a little.
I also
more
like it when the guitar makes really loud screaming sort of sounds. Like if it sounds like it's shouting, and I don't know, you get this feeling inside when you hear something nice, like some of my favorite musicians play or whatever, and you know, I gotta replicate it.
Awesome. So moving on, you've been doing this for quite some time. And you've been involved in doing some charity work and some competitions, which we're going to get to in a second. Do you have any basic tips for people that are just getting started, some like 101 stuff?
Absolutely. Like you said, I've spent a lot of time learning how to record music and play music, make these remixes. Of course, I've eventually kind of put these down in tutorials, but the main tips, of course, being, you know, love what you're playing, but don't settle for yourself. Settle for your best. Think about how much you like a song when you're doing the song, and always go back to the theme. You know, if it's a happy song, make it happy. If it's kind of like someone lost in the woods, like, you know, you want to convey that, and you know, listen to as much music as possible. I can't tell you the joy I get when I hear new music that I love, and I obsess over some of the same music I hear, and I think there's no better way to you know, improve creating music than to listen to more music and, you know, just practice it. So how about that?
That's good advice, I think. Basically kind of push your boundaries, get out of your comfort zone, start listening to different music, and, you know,
absolutely,
the more genres you listen to, the more genres you understand, the more chances you are more chances of finding something that you didn't know existed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
So we're actually going to talk about the charity work that you've done in a separate video, which we'll release at somewhat later time. But enough to say that you've worked with a couple charities. Oh, you've worked on collaborations for a couple charities, Operation One Up and Multiplayer VG. And could you sum up, like, what was the most rewarding part of that? Was it just seeing the support? Was it getting the artists together?
Great question. Of course, the charities are kind of like the some of the biggest things that I've gotten to do through YouTube and through the networking. And obviously for both of them, they both have kind of the exact same effect for me from the two sides. One side was it just showed me how appreciative the community is of each other. You know, we all fanboy and fangirl over each other's music without realizing it, and I think it was really cool that we had new friends formed, new collaborations with people who'd never crossed genres before. You know, like the Lonely Soundboard and Miklichu, actually, they did like a Metal Come Violin cover of the Binding of Isaac tune for Operation 1-Up. So I think that's one great thing about the maker side of these two projects that I was either fronting or helping with. And the other side, of course, is we got to prove that video game remixers and musicians and stuff, we could buy toys and games and puzzles and books for children in children's hospitals with multiplayer VG. And we were able to raise a significant amount of money for our friend Darth Aurelius John Means with Operation 1-Up. And I don't think I've ever been in such a position where I can actually be messaged by the guy who I'm helping raise money for, and him say, this is the best thing I've seen all day, like, I'm so grateful, you just blew my freaking mind. All these things come very personally, since we were raising it for such a cool guy and a friend of ours. So there's just like rewards for, it's like a win-win-win doing these things, honestly. No matter how much craziness it takes to plan, they're just an absolute blast. And anyone who hasn't heard either of the albums, of course, check them out on Louder, iTunes, or Spotify for free, because they're great pieces of music, whether they're charity or not, or anything.
Mm-hmm. I'll post the descriptions or post the links in the description below, obviously.
Thanks.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've said this before, one of the things that I love about the video game remix community, they're supportive, and they can come together and do something great like this. So obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a separate video. One more thing that I wanted to talk about is your Level Up competition.
Sure.
Why don't you tell me how you came up with the idea and how it's been going for you, and what was your goal with the competition?
Sure. So this has been about my third year of YouTubing, and being as fortunate as I have to make the friends and network and put out, however many videos I've done. We're probably in the hundreds by now. I don't have that much other hobbies. But basically, Level Up started with the idea that a lot of people during my question and answer, and in general, want to begin making video game remixes, or they've been making these covers for a while, but there's been a lot of questions. How do I get to sound like you or better, or how do I improve my tone, or just like these millions of audio or music, or any questions really. And it kind of also comes from the fact that a lot of the time when you're doing whatever it is you love, music or anything, we get stuck in this rut where we're becoming too content with just being ourselves. And this Level Up competition is all about reaching out and becoming better than you are, reaching the dream that you have. So without getting too Michael Phelpsy, it's basically the idea is to in 1 month, so I started this about March 15th until April 15th, which is just shy of less than a week from now.
There's still time.
Yes, there's still time. We want the entrants to create the best darn cover that you could possibly make, the best video game improving upon everything from the last one you make. And in conjunction, I released 8-part, including a crazy dance number that show tuned about the wonders of making video game music. And basically, the idea is, take from anything, and get better at piano playing, get better at guitar playing, try producing differently. Instead of always making a metal cover, try a funk cover. Just absolutely push yourself to become the musician that you want to be. And a lot of the times, and myself included, we just say, I'm busy, or this is getting me views, so what's the big deal, or anything. But you gotta level up. Like everything, music is just about coming up with something new, something better. And I throw myself at my computer a lot, mixing and stuff, and I just always want it to sound better. So, and as I digress, the point being, this challenge is all about self-improvement, and I have a judge panel of Jonathan Parecki, Richard E.B., Insane in the Rain Music, Jonathan Young, who, for those of you guys who don't know, he's starting to do some video game remixes, but he's a fantastic musician for Disney music, actually.
Oh, wow.
And amazing singer, of course. And my friend Ryan. So we've got this like collection of mostly musicians and stuff, and we'll be looking at all of the entrants' old videos and new videos. And instead of, trying to figure out, who's inherently just happens to be playing 20 years and stuff, we're going to see who's put the most effort into trying something new and improving. So it's kind of been an exciting challenge. I've heard from people that they started making covers because of it.
That's awesome.
So it's an amazing feeling, and in a couple days we're going to have maybe 50 videos to listen to, and one of the absolute best side effects of these contests in this community, especially Family Jewel 7X's, which was about a year and a few months ago, you get to meet all these people. So people I didn't know exist, people that the entrants didn't know exist, and you network, you collaborate, you make new songs, and it's pretty fantastic. So I highly encourage everyone, and I myself am trying to take the challenge in that sense. With all of the music that I'm currently working on. So it's a great experience, and I'm very proud to have the judges and entrants and everybody who's been kind of psyched about it. I did not expect the outcome.
You're happily surprised then, right?
Happily surprised. Very surprised.
Well, that's great. One last question for you.
Sure.
Can you tell me if you're working on anything at the moment?
Absolutely. Right now, in addition to all this, contest craziness and stuff, I've been putting together a few things for, I'd like to say, maybe 3 albums or so. So before last summer, actually, I put out an Earthbound-only album called PK Rockin', and the inspiration for this was that, of course, this game was kind of dear to my heart, and the soundtrack hadn't been, very much covered. And I wanted to see if I could put my style of music, which is, like a progressive rock and blues and even metal and jazz and stuff and funk, into this one insane album. And now, taking on that, I've done, I did actually over the winter Super Snow Bros, which is a 5-song EP with Maximum Hamburgers, who's probably I owe him so much for audio production, and he's one of my closest friends as well. Fantastic drummer. So we put together like a winter Christmas video game album, and we just got it on Louder and iTunes as well, which is nice. So currently I'm working on the follow-up to these kind of projects. So I'm working on a 5-song EP that remakes a couple video game medleys, as well as some new songs. So you're gonna hear like Big Blue from F-Zero. You're gonna hear Majora's Mask music, Diddy Kong Racing, Age of Empires. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the soundtrack, but
I've heard a few songs. I've never played the games, but I'm a little bit familiar. Yeah.
It's wonderful because it's like a strategy game. So it's literally a 100% acoustic medley, but it's kind of done by a metalhead. So it's got like a lot of ambience, and I'm putting this together as more of like a fluent album. It's got it's going to have album art done by my amazing friend Kelly, and I'm going to be working on an Ocarina of Time album for this summer as a follow-up to the Earthbound one. But instead of any copy-pasty sort of remixes where I could just take the easy way out, I'm looking for the most obscure tunes, and I'm reworking a lot of the arrangements to fit more of a progressive metal scene, something more like Animals as Leaders, or Periphery, or Pliny, or something amongst those lines. So it's going to be definitely like a consistent sort of album that you would pick up in stores that happens to be based on the game.
So you're going to need like a 9-string guitar then?
That is another thing. I do play my 7-string exclusively for the past half a year or more. Most of my music has been 7-string, drop D, drop A flat. I won't go any lower because then I'm just being silly. But and we're definitely thinking of ideas for the next multiplayer album, because again, I was just blown away by the reception of how many people had heard of it, yourself included, and I think it's a really good opportunity to get out some new artists, get back with some old friends, raise some money for charity. We're not going to do the alphabetical order thing because that was very difficult. Just as a self-challenge, anyone watching yourself, try imagining an A to Z of video game music, and now try to exclude any songs from multiplayer. It's a little tricky, but we're looking forward to doing a multiplayer too if we get some ideas bubbling. In addition to all of the albums and EPs, I still keep up as much as I can with YouTube's videos. I've got usually not weekly or bi-weekly schedules anymore because of college, but I'm still trying to finish up some collaborations with friends and keep up with new music techniques. Speaking of collaborations with friends, one of the things I'm most proud of kind of keeping up with is the insane amount of people I've gotten to work with in addition to just talking to. And right now I'm working on a good amount of collaborations with people like Toxic X Eternity and Jonathan Young and Rich IDB, and a lot of things just are in the talks, and some things are sitting on my computer ready to be mixed. So I'm very excited to always be working with groups. I also, of course, have just like lists of smaller projects or things that I'm like mixing for or I've played bass for but haven't fully contributed to. Recently I actually just played bass for Sir Blamble of GAM, who did the final boss battle from Bowser's Inside Story, and I got to play bass with that song, which is a good opportunity. I don't always want to play just guitar for some of my covers. I love playing any other instrument or helping master or mix other people's covers or whatever gets it out there. So
sounds like you don't have anything going on. No, I'm just
Not
kidding.
quite.
That's ridiculous. And you're going to college too, right?
Yes, I'm actually a student in computer science around my junior year, and right now I'm kind of hoping that I can work on in some sort of software company, and who knows, maybe even go into game development and have music as a cool side or influence into that. So
Don't forget to sleep.
yeah,
Gotta do
I've
that.
been told that more than once today.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time with talking to me. And
Absolutely.
thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.